dirt, a dirty couch. Dirt, dirt, dirty couch. Huh. A dirty couch. Dirty couch, dirty couch. The pain, the back pain is so. The shame that I feign, some low blows. It's insane, it's profane. Oh no, when the pain washing with rain, delete the photos. A couch, I feel the dirt upon the throne. I'm the king, you the queen. Turn this house into a home. Ouch, I feel the pain from the beast. Never talked about it, but it's freaking plain on repeat. What I'm saying ain't sweet, and the truth is hard, and the freaking game don't sleep. Come here instead of praying in the street. Relive something while you're fucking laying on our seat. The dirty couch. The dirty couch. It's the dirty couch. Dirty couch. The dirty couch. Dirty couch. Dirty couch. It's the dirty couch.
Action!
I don't know why today that's cracking me up, the action part. Okay, welcome to the Dirty Couch. The Dirty Couch is a podcast with Steve, aka So Sick,
and Misty, partner in crime, multiple crimes by the way.
This is episode number 5.
Oh man, already?
Yeah,
we're moving. We're rolling.
We've been talking for 5 episodes. It's pretty good. Today's alcohol is probably sponsored by nobody.
Absolutely nobody.
So we're not going to, advertise anyone.
We're just like
we'll be drinking your product, but we won't mention it
until you come correct and then want to advertise on this show.
Give us.
But we hope that you've been watching the previous episodes. You've actually subscribed to our YouTube channel. It is Dirty Couch, and make sure you like our Facebook page, The Dirty Couch. Invite people. Invite your people. You might win something in the coming weeks. I won't say what, but. Am I lying?
I'm about to sneeze.
Funny man.
Yes, George.
But George, we're filming.
I'm at Misty's house.
Why? You miss me?
What do you want? We're shooting something. At the breakfast show was boring.
I was a fun one, George. It should be boring when I leave.
Okay, we're shooting a show right now. Unless you have something else monumental to say.
That's monumental.
That's bullshit.
For me.
Oh, have a good time, my brother. Alright. Cousin Eric, we start that again? Sorry, I forgot to put my phone aside. Oh, we continue. All right. Producer says continue.
All right.
Where do we end up? All right. Anyway, thank you for subscribing to our YouTube channel, and we hope we get to like thousands and thousands of people. But I'd like to say a big shout out to the Sting.
Yes, the Sting. We like that you are on our account. I'm supposed to. Pose and then read her text. Don't roll your eyes. Okay, shout out to this team. 1, for being the first person that was waiting for the premiere episode. She was just like patiently waiting just there, asking, like, is anybody here? Guys, knock, knock. Can somebody say something? Yes, and for just being invested and commenting as well as sharing our account. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so go to the YouTube channel. It's The Dirty Couch.
Yep.
And subscribe. And then if you want notifications, click on the little bell that's there on top there.
Ding.
So every time that we upload an episode, you'll be able to get it. All right, so today we're talking about childhood trauma. Today, nothing to do with anything sexual, because I think we've done too much of that.
That's very true. We're talking about childhood trauma and how it affects you as an adult, how it affects your relationships, whether it's your friendships or your love life. Your love life.
Mm-hmm. So I quickly Googled what childhood trauma is.
Okay. What is trauma?
No, let's childhood trauma.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do childhood trauma. Or you want to do
Break
like the whole shebang of book?
I want to hear.
All right, childhood trauma is often described as serious adverse childhood experiences. Children may go through a range of experiences that classify as a psychological trauma. Mm-hmm. These might include neglect, abandonment, sexual abuse, and physical abuse. Witnessing abuse is of a sibling or parent, or having a mentally ill parent. What's childhood trauma? Well, the National Institute of
Sip.
Okay. The National Institute of Mental Health defines childhood trauma as the experience of an event by a child that is emotionally painful or distressful, which often results in lasting mental or physical effects.
Ooh, that's heavy already.
Yeah. So we're going to start off the show by defining that. We've already defined that. So let's talk about first what we talk about, like therapy. Let's talk about therapy first of all. You know, most of the people, when we talk about childhood trauma, they don't talk about therapy.
No,
and
does.
And as black people, do we actually believe in therapy? By the way, Misty and I are going to give you our childhood traumas, and if we offend anyone in our families or friends and cousins and loved ones, we don't give a shit. This is a dirty couch. We tell the truth, shame the devil. That's why you're here on this YouTube channel.
That's
all right.
true.
So, would you go? Have you ever gone for therapy?
Like professional, somebody who
somebody who's gone to school for it. Yeah.
No, I've never been. No.
I've never been for therapy either.
Do the pastors and church people count? No.
But I don't go to church, so that doesn't count.
No, it doesn't even count. That's like some sort of counseling that you get, but never really like some deep therapy or you talk about your issues. I mean, are we even, like in Zambia, are we even very open about therapy? And do we look at people and when somebody says, I would like to go and seek therapy for this and this, do people roll their eyes? They kind of look at you like,
I'm telling you, you know, when something happens when you're young, in my generation, because I'm pretty old now, they'll tell you, suck it up. I mean, so we grew up with that, and when you're young and something happens to you, you take it in your stride. Like for instance, I know we talked about virginity in our first episode, and all the things that happened. But for some people, it's kind of traumatic that some of the things that we went through happened. So I'll talk about a few things that maybe we don't talk about. Like for instance, when I was growing up in the 80s, when your uncle sleeps with you, it's just swept under the rug. I know someone who was raped by an uncle's friend.
Whoa.
And it was swept under the rug, and she was a very young person at that particular time. It was swept under the rug, and now the repercussions of that are happening. So everything used to be swept under the rug. But over the years, it's been like 20 years or so, or even like almost 30 years of all this happening. We have reached a point where there's technology, there's information, and there's all that. We used to watch Oprah and be like, you suck it up. So, should we go for therapy? And do we even know where to get therapy from if these things happen to us? I don't think we do. I don't even know a number of a therapist. Not even one.
No, not even one. And you know, even after doing radio for so long, like we talk to so many people. I don't think we've ever had like a therapist on the show to address people's issues. Do they know where to go when they're going through so many things? There's one time I was in Kito. I was attacked in a park by some thugs. They stole my no, not my iPod. What do you call those things?
Walkman.
No, but it was Apple. It played music. Producer.
It was an iShine.
It was a nice something.
iPod.
Yes,
iPod. iPod was like the cool thing to have.
Yes.
Anyway, yeah.
The thing is, I was attacked. I was hurt. I went home, and then the following day, I'm like chilling there, trying to process what had happened to me, and then somebody said, black people don't get traumatized. I mean, a lot of things happen. We just don't get traumatized. We just like things happen, you deal with it, and you move on. It's like, wow. But that's been the thing for quite a long time.
I'm going to do the Zambian thing and ask you, what time was it?
I was around 18.
What were you doing, walking around at 18?
I just took a walk out. I was processing some thoughts.
You get my point. Where I'm trying to go with this is the fact that every time something traumatic happens to someone, especially a woman,
Yes.
and I think I'll just say a woman.
Yeah,
They always
mostly.
say, "Why were you out that late? What were you doing?" For us men, they say
a victim
they
blaming.
say, "Suck it up, suck it up." It doesn't happen to men. It doesn't happen to men. So many things have happened in my life that I'm going to talk about on this show. And like I said, might offend some people, might not offend some people. But I'll go first. I mean, because you always go first.
I do?
Yeah.
On this very show?
They say ladies first, but today you look like a man.
Is it the hair?
You look like a gay ass
Is
man.
it the hair? Is it the pants?
I did. All right, so I'll go first. I'll tell you a few things that have happened in my life that I've never really talked about because I was told all my life that you need to suck it up.
Suck it up.
Yeah.
And be a man.
So we'll take a break and we'll be back with the things that I need to say. Welcome back to the Dirty Couch. My name's Steve, aka So Sick.
Hey, my name is Misty. Thank you for coming back. We hope you grabbed a drink and you're ready to open up and talk about a few things that might hit maybe close to home. But we just hope that at the end of the day, we all learn a little something from this topic today.
And you need to subscribe to this YouTube channel. Damn it.
Sure. Yeah, boy.
Bing. Yeah.
Just touch the thing. That's it.
Yeah,
That's
the
it. Just
red thing
click.
that says subscribe. Do that.
And you're done.
All right. So before the break, I was about to break down some of the things that I feel like I didn't even know. Right. I know earlier I said that I've never gone for therapy, but I sat with like some very smart people.
Okay.
Yeah, smart with all this emotional bullshit and everything, and they made me realize a few things about myself, which I didn't know. Only realized this only happened like a year ago, and I realized that everything that happens in your life sort of affects who you are.
That's true.
I've always been called like a person who's emotionally unavailable. I always wondered why. Like, yeah, because sometimes shit, you just don't talk about shit.
Yeah.
I mean,
You internalize,
Yeah.
compartmentalize, and throw it away.
like if I'm going to start talking to you about something, I mean, I'm bothering you with
Yeah.
my bullshit.
Yes.
So I'll hold it
You'd rather keep it to yourself.
and fix it myself and make fun of it because I'm a goofy guy. I make fun of everything. Yeah.
That's how you survive.
That's how I survived. So anyway, when growing up, we grew up in a place where I don't know if my parents were alcoholics, but they used to drink and have a good time. Yeah.
Okay.
And they used to drink a lot. My mom, God rest her soul, wasn't drinking before she died. Like a few decades had passed that she hasn't drinking. But when I was young, my parents used to give us alcohol. So like I remember the first time I actually got drunk, I was like 5 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, my dad I think gave me like 2 or 3 Mossies or something like that. That's why I think they were all clapping. I mean, it was cool then.
Yeah.
It was cool, but you know when you think about it now, when you grow up, like
That wasn't
was
right.
bullshit.
Yeah, that wasn't
That
right.
was bullshit. And then there's another time. I think I was in the first grade. I think I was about 7 years old. And my mom were having a braai at home, and then she gave us wine. And then I got so drunk. That I threw up. I think I was like 7 years old. But you know, my mom was the best mom ever for me.
Yeah.
But when I grew up, I think that was bullshit.
Like that was
That's crazy
not right.
bullshit. And then there's another time. I'm talking about alcohol, just specifically right now. I think I was in grade 3 or so, and my sister had brought a guy home, and this guy came and he said hi to us and everything, and he gave us. They were giving us alcohol, so we were drinking. Yeah.
having a good time.
Yeah, we got drunk, and then my sister, I think she was like 14 years old. My older sister, God rest her soul, as well. So many people in my family are dead. They went to a room, yeah, and I don't know what was happening, but it seemed like the guy got drunk as well. He blacked out, and then she blacked out, and then it was time for my mom to come home with my dad. so they came home, and there I was drunk as a second grade or something like that. And I walked into the room, and there was my mom crying, and my sister was butt naked. And the guy, just when they were entering the house, he passed by me, running out, and my mom never saw him. Yeah.
Oh.
And from then on, just the smell of puke, smell of alcohol, and that's the first time I ever saw like a grown person with titties and ass and vagina and hair and shit naked. And I was like, what the fuck? What is this? So for years after that, I couldn't stand the smell of what we're drinking now. I couldn't.
Wow.
And that for me, I don't know if it affected who I am today, but it affected me to a particular point where I feel like, you know, I felt like I was the one to blame for what happened with my sister. I know she probably lost her virginity that day, but I never asked questions because she was 14 or 15 years old.
And you were 7.
She was 8 years older than me, so I was probably like just turning 7 or something like that. So that's one thing that happened. One of the stories that happened earlier on, and then as we got older, my parents started having a bit of issues. They divorced. I mean, they didn't divorce, they separated because they never illegally did it.
Yeah.
So what happened is my parents, I thought my parents were happy. I honestly thought that my parents were happy, and I thought my father was the coolest motherfucker ever, because he was always coming home. Yeah, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
He was always coming home. He was always a happy guy, but he would always, every day, he would come home at 23 hours. Not like the way I come home at 23 hours on Friday or Saturday.
Yes.
Every fucking day.
No kidding.
Of the week. And I remember that my mom used to leave food for him in the oven all the time. So I thought they were happy. They used to joke. I mean, he was funny. He was exactly like who I am now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I found out that my father was sleeping or entertaining other women. When you're younger, you don't think like he's sleeping. You just think that they're just drawn to him. They're just drawn to him.
He just hangs out with other people.
Yeah, and so, you know, these things started happening and then kept on happening. My mom was always upset, but you know, the culture that we had at that particular time was Shipiki Club.
Yes.
And they kept on getting back together. She never left the house, but she knew that my father was a bit of a motherfucker. So they reached a point where my father wasn't just now fucking around. His fucking aroundness was coming into the house.
Oh wow.
And I would meet him with a woman, and he'd go, shh.
Don't
tell your mom. So I'd always say, oh, okay. So for me, growing up, I always thought that it was normal for men to cheat and women to just take it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm a cheating ass motherfucker, person, and I'm trying to learn not to cheat. But from that upbringing part of it, I felt like, you know, cheating was normal because my father used to do it all the time. He used to drink all the time, and he was the coolest guy ever.
And the thing is with parents, like when parents do stuff, like because they are your first role models, you learn so many things from them. You are in their home, they bring you into this world, and then they set the standard on how to go in the world and act. So when they do certain things, and they do them like multiple times, it just starts to feel like, maybe that's the thing.
But this one went a bit crazy because my father's girlfriend showed up at our house once.
Wow.
And she sat in a chair, and then my mother sat in a chair. And then she started now chastising my mother. And I know I was in grade 7. So I talking to my mother like, you know, you didn't marry this man. You have no papers. I just found out then that my parents didn't get legally married. They just moved in together. And they had 4 kids. And and 20 years went by. I only found out that shit then. And she was a lawyer. So she was saying that, you know, you have no right to this man.
Yeah.
So then my mom called us kids in and come and hear what's happening with your father and what this woman is saying. I want your kids to hear. That's how we all came and sat. Then she looked at him. She looked at my father and said, "Say something.
Like
say
your
something.
Mom.
Like defend me."
Yeah.
And he kept quiet. Like he fucking just kept absolutely quiet.
Wow.
And this is an ugly ass motherfucking woman. Like she was Jimmy.
Diggity.
My mom was mwah compared to her.
Wow.
But she had influence and she was like in the government and shit like that. And I don't know what the fuck they were doing together. But he kept quiet. He said nothing. And that really hurt me. Anyway, cut a long story short on that one. Bari mo pono.
Unkashana?
Umukashana chali chikote.
Oh, it's Chinamayo.
Chinamayo, right? Pono. My mom fucked up. My sister, my late sister, God rest her soul, they fucked her up. And she dropped the wallet. That's why I took the wallet. When I was in grade 7. But then after, all this happened and if this whole shit even came out in the papers, can you believe?
Wow.
Yeah, it came out in the papers about some town clerk being fucked up somewhere and it was just a horrible story.
Kama is a witch.
So now they broke up. Like my mom moved to Ndola and then Livingston. And then now we were growing up. My father never stopped paying for school fees. My father stopped doing anything. My father was not showing up for anything. We were now rich kids, now turning into poor kids, now begging for everything. Those Cesco bills to be paid, everything.
And the change.
And it made me hate him. Like hate him so much. So when I had my child, when I was in my early 20s, I had my first child. And I was like, you know what? I need to get back with my mother. I really need to get back to my father. Because, that's my father. My daughter needs to know my grandfather. So I went to Livingston to see my father. And he was with a woman who was almost my age. She was probably like my late sister's age. She was like 30 then. So when I got there, I knew that they had broken up. It had been years now.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'm trying to fix this. So I got into the house. I got introduced to this woman, pretty woman, that I had met before, but I didn't know that they had, started a relationship. And she started hitting on me. Like, I thought it was like, you don't know what's happening, yeah?
Yeah,
And she started hitting on me. She was like, oh, my son, Shani, my son, hey. And then there's one time I came from taking a bath and I was wearing boxers and I found her on my bed in my room. Then she says, come, let me put lotion on your body.
No, ma'am.
This is not a fucking kid here. I was like 20 years old. Yeah? So I was like, really? Okay, cool. So she starts putting lotion on my body.
You actually say cool. No, I would run.
I had so much hate for my father at that time. So I really, really wanted the woman that he left my mother for and destroyed our family for to be a good woman.
Yeah, and then you found this.
Then I found a hoe. Iule.
Wow.
1984. Yeah. So she started putting lotion on my body. Then I got Iraq. I went to Baghdad. And then Saddam Hussein.
Yeah.
If you know what that means, you know what that means.
Yeah. It is what it is.
So then he said, no, you can't enter here. My vagina is for your father. Everything else is for you. And then I won't tell you everything else that happened after that, but a lot of things happened. And I was there for a while. And this is the first time I'm telling this story, and it will sound fucked up when you hear it, but it's a story I gotta tell. And my father was way older than her, so every time we would hang out, I would always be somebody else, and she should be getting grabbed by other people, being touched by other people, and all sorts of things. Until one day I was like, fuck it. This is my family. This is my father. I'm disrespecting my father. So I told her, fuck you, this is bullshit. I'm not doing this shit anymore. And then there's the time we went out drinking. I was so irritated. I was seeing them sit together and act all honky dory. I was like
everything's fine.
This is the bitch my father has destroyed our family for. This particular Bitch, is the one that my father has destroyed our family for. So then why in it? Then what?
And you're seething.
And my father is here. My father's here. Shine. No, I was like, cool. I hold it in. And then I finished what I was drinking from, and then I threw it down like this on the grass. And then my father said something that just triggered the fuck out of me. He said, "Pick that up. That's not the way I raised you."
Sir?
Why did you open? I don't know what those few words did, but it
blew the lid off.
Fucked me up. I was like, that's not the way you raised me.
Like raised me?
How did you raise me? And that's how I said, hey, get out here. I was like, Iwe Chikala. I called my father, Iwe Chikala. That's not how you fucking raised me. My mother raised me.
You didn't raise me.
You didn't raise me. Fuck you. Shut. That's how my father.
You had been sitting on that for
a long time.
Years, yeah.
And that's how one of the relatives to my stepmom, the same one that shit was happening to, said that take today and then I'm fear she be with you. Then I pushed him. I was like, this is my fucking father.
Not yours.
Not yours. And that's how he pushed me. That's how. Now I slapped him. Oh no, but once I watched the gang party, all over Pono now. And then my father was like, hey, kepa Kari tumba. I saw that shit fucked me up. I was fighting like 5 guys, and fortunately at that particular time my cousin was there, and he was breaking tears everywhere, trying to rescue me, but we were all fucked up.
Yeah.
And then we walked out, and then we slept out that night because we had nowhere to sleep because we couldn't go back home. And then I got home in the morning, and all my clothes were out on the veranda. She opened the door and says, "Oh, your father wants to talk to you."
Oh.
I used to write in the diary. She has stolen the diary. They just threw me my clothes, and I said, "How am I going to get back home?
Yeah.
I want to go back to my mother." She said, "No, you find your way." I slept in the streets for about a week.
Damn.
And prostitutes are the ones that kept me. Livingston prostitutes, shout out to you.
Yeah.
No sex happened, but they kept me. I think they had known what's going on. So I stayed in a brothel for a bit. They fed me, they made me drunk, we played pool. It was a cool thing. And then finally, one of them, I was pregnant from some white man. I know that child is probably like really old now.
Okay.
I said that here's $100. Go back to your mom. That's how I went, changed the money, jumped on the bus, and I was back. I'm telling you, all these experiences made me so numb to a lot of things, and it fucked me up. And I don't know. It's who. When I'm in relationships, everyone's asking, Steve, why are you doing this? Why don't you give a fuck? I went through that trauma.
I've been through things.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
And I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever forgive my father. We talk. He's no longer with a woman, but now he's like what? He's like 76 years old. Even when he calls, my daughter says, "Why don't you talk to your father like it's your father?"
Often.
Like, yeah. I mean, he's my G, but fuck. There's just so many things that I've held in so much that I don't know. Because even now, I don't know. I don't know how to do it. Anyway, let's take a break. I think there's too much to talk about on the dirty couch
I
today.
will cry.
Too much to talk about on the dirty couch today. We'll talk about it after this.
Yo, welcome back. You're watching The Dirty Couch. My name is Misty.
My name's Steve, aka So Sick.
Yes, and he was just about to make me weep on the other side, and I needed to breathe. I felt like I was underwater a little, and I just want to give you a hug right now because, yo, bruh, were you listening?
Yeah. Fuck you, Oprah.
That is.
Sorry, I have a cigarette.
That is heavy.
Yeah.
But then again, it is the couch of truth. And we bring it as it is. It is tell the truth.
Shame the devil.
The Devil Ministries.
Yeah.
Amen.
All right, so I've told my story. It was a pretty hard one to tell, but there's things that have to be told so that, when we pass on and we do this, we need these things for people to talk about. And
and it's like our form of therapy as well, this couch. Well, for me, like for a long time, like what you said about like your behaviors and how you react to things, and you never know why, but you just hear people tell you like, but why are you like this?
Like you're
you have
emotionless,
anger issues, or you are too emotional. Why do you do things like this? Just like you don't understand, but. Because even you yourself, you don't understand.
Even I don't understand. I mean, I'm going through a divorce right now, and the woman I'm married to, I mean, right now legally, failed to understand my behavior. What type of behavior
why does it behave the way it does?
And I just don't speak about my emotions that much, and she felt closed off and neglected that way. And I honestly didn't want the same thing that happened, the divorce, everything, and how it affected me, to affect my kids.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I'm at this. I'm basically just reliving the cycle again. But now I'm the villain. I'm the villain now.
The bad guy in the story now.
Yeah, I'm the bad guy in the story.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oof. Well, I think for me, like I also started, I've been doing like meditation, follow some people, listen to people that are going through therapy and going through issues, like if you're an adult and you need help. And then I decided one day that maybe I should start opening like all these little boxes that I've compartmentalized and thrown away to start understanding also how I am, why I do things that I do as well. And then it's when you talk to a lot of people as well that you start to see that maybe some of these things I went through as a child, like even the way I like to internalize issues, is because like growing up, I just felt like I was an outsider, especially like when my dad died. My dad died when I was very young. And usually when your father passes, you get some form of closure. For most people, like when your people or anybody you love, when they die, you go to the funeral, you see the body, you see them like laid in the grave, you put flowers there, and then you say goodbye. My dad one time just got up with my mom because he had been sick for a while. And they said, we're going to Kasama, to your grandmother's place, just like to look for people that can help your dad, and then we'll be back. So we just sat that night before he left. He said he'll be back, and that's how he left. And that man had the audacity to go and die where he went.
In Kasama?
In Porokoso.
Porokoso.
Yeah, so he died in Porokoso, and then they brought the body in Kasama at my grandmother's farm, and that's where they buried him.
How old were you?
I was around like 8, 9, yeah. And then they came to inform us like later that your dad had died. It was just like the neighbors telling you that your dad had died because my mom was still in the village.
No cell phones, no nothing.
No cell phones then, and even if there was, so the army, since my dad was a soldier, he was in the army. So I think the army were informed that their person had died, and then they told the neighbors. We had been left with the neighbors by then to take care of us, just like checking on the kids, make sure they're fine.
Yeah.
So the neighbors did the whole funeral thing. But have you ever sat and mourned somebody because they just told you that? It was like the weirdest thing. Like
you mourn someone, but you don't have the closure.
Yes, but you don't have closure.
You don't see the body.
You don't see the body. And I just went my
never went
whole
to
life.
The funeral?
No. That was the funeral that the neighbors gathered, and then we waited until they had buried him in Kasama, and then my mom came back. She came back to Kawe. And then obviously when the widow comes back, people still gather now. Yeah. They had another funeral at home. Relatives came, obviously get stuff. Then property grabbing was like a real thing. And I've just felt like there's this void that just remains because you haven't said goodbye to this person. You constantly feel like, maybe he might walk back into the house. Maybe he might, and you just...
That's why people do body viewing, huh?
That's why people do body viewing. You get closure. You bury this person, you put a flower and you say goodbye. But when you...
You never did.
No, I never did. And just like that, just left like a space that I carry just all my life. And then from then, like what you were saying about your dad divorcing and you separating, and then your life starts to change, and you
instantly, yeah.
Yes, like instantly you're going through all these motions where you were just fine with your mother and dad, and now it's just like your mom who's also struggling and mourning. I only realized when I grew up that my mom lost her husband in her 30s. Like she was so young. And then you could come back from school sometimes and you just find her crying in her room and just being overwhelmed by having these kids. And now you had a husband, you no longer have a husband, you have to get out of this house, fend for yourselves, you're no longer doing well, you no longer have no house, there's no money, and that just becomes really hard. And obviously then people cared about, let me take this kid when the dad dies, let me take this kid. And I was taken by my dad's young sister to come and live in Kitwe. That was like the first time I was introduced to Kitwe. So I came and lived with them, and their home was like very abusive. They would beat each other like every night. They were fighting. If they are not fighting, their neighbors are fighting, or their neighbors behind are fighting. And you just start, my mom and dad, like, there was never commotion in the house, but then you start to see people that have anger issues, that fight all the time. And when you go and live with other people, you just feel like a little neglected. Like, why am I here when I could just be home? But then that environment also was like very different. It had men like who would, and I was like 8, 9, 10 by then, who felt it wasn't bad to grab your butt when you're passing, touch your boobs. They would sit and talk about how she would be nice to smash. And then you start to just constantly live in fear. Like, what are they going to do?
That's why when I touch your ass, you go crazy.
I don't like
I mean, like, this is my friend, right? Every time I try to touch her, like, hey, child boy, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Like,
no, and no, I tell you all the time.
I am not doing it.
It's not just
like that.
me.
I'm not doing that. This is my buddy, my pal.
I can't.
My ninja. Like, oh man.
Even when I see men do it like to other women, like I'm passing, I get like I will kill you, because it made me feel very unsafe growing up, like having all these grown men that look at you as a child. And then you're just thinking, if my aunt is not here, like, what will these men do? Mm-hmm. Or if your aunt is not there, come and sit here. They want to talk to you like you're an adult. It's like, no, let's not do that, okay? So I don't like.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I will never touch your ass.
I'm learning to.
It's a good ass, but it will never be touched again.
I'm learning to deal with it. But also growing up, like I started to go from like home to home. You live with these people, you go and live with these people, and over the course of time, it's just people that you never really welcome in their homes. They're constantly talking about what you did, how you're not good enough to do this. It's also in comparison with who did. And for me, that like over the time, it creates like an inadequacy in you, where you start to feel like,
you
like,
ain't shit.
Yes, like maybe I'm not good enough to do this or to do that in comparison to whoever. Or you start to ask yourself, like, why do they never want me? I just felt like constantly rejected from this home, from that home, and
how many homes did you live in?
I've lived in maybe 5.
5 fucking homes. Shit.
Like after my dad died, I lived with my aunt. After my aunt, I went back to my mom. My mom, I lived with her brother. Her brother, that's the time I got abducted at one point. This man wanted to smuggle me out of the country. But the story is not even like this man that wanted, although that's like a different trauma altogether, because that has shaken me as well, like the way I look at people and not trust people. I was on my way to school. Now I was living with my mom's brother. I was in 8th or 10th grade then. And then these girls in the neighborhood I used to go to school with one day they come home and they say, would you like to go to school in our uncle has come to pick us up. So, yes, drink. I need a drink. Our uncle has come to pick us up, so do you want to go with us? I'm like, okay, it's just a leaf. It's like a quicker way to get to school. That's how I got in that cab or car. I don't know if it was a cab or a car. We got to school. These girls get out of the car and the doors lock. Like a man jumps in the car and the doors lock. And this man starts to drive away. And I am in panic. I am screaming at the girls outside, trying to tell them that I don't know this man. And according to them, he told them that he was my uncle. I don't know, and they believe that. Not the guy who drove them. I think he told them he would take me to my uncle. Mm-hmm. And they were just there, standing, no help. I took them off because I don't know why I was trying. I'm not even like an hearing person. I'll just stick to this. A man drove all the way to some compound in Kitwe and stashed me in a house. That's the fear of somebody yanking you from a situation that felt safe, and then it turns unsafe the next minute. I sat in that house just screaming with nobody to help me for 3 or 4 days.
What the fuck?
Yeah, 3 or 4 days I was stuck in that house, and he had his friend in that house. He had locked me in a room, so they would leave in the morning, and I'd just be in that room. When he comes back, I would just be crying and begging to go home. No one looked for me. Do you know like how unworthy? Like nobody got up to look for me. Because in their heads, I had just decided to get up one day to go and prostitute somewhere. Because you're a girl. Why would this, you said victim blaming, why would this man take you? Until one day, his friend got really, really scared and called the police. That's how I'm sitting in that house.
The same friend that was in the same house?
The same friend that used to be in the same house. I don't know if the Lord spoke to him one day after hearing me crying day in and day out. He's just like, I need to do something. I don't think this is his girlfriend or his relative. That's how one day I just hear commotion outside. The police are breaking the doors. And then they find me seated in there. That's how they took me. And that man, they arrested him as well. That's how they took us to the police station. And they explained, like, can you explain what had happened to you? I told them the full story, how I was taken from school, the whole thing, and how I've been locked up in this house for days.
Yeah, that's nice.
For some reason, this man, I was just thinking, like, any day he's going to rape me. And he did not assault me.
Wow.
He just wanted to smuggle me out of the country, apparently, and marry me.
But he was a foreigner?
He was Zambian. That's how I was rescued. The police kept me at the station, said, we'll inform your parents, see if they can come and take you. I sat at the police from morning, the whole night. Nobody came. Until the police, I slept in the cells. Nobody came to get me. The following morning they said, do you know how to get to your house? I said, yeah, I think I can find my way. That man's family who was arrested, I think they were informed as well. They had come, they brought me some food, they came to apologize for what he had done. I don't even know what happened like after that. Like if it was prosecuted or if it was, do they prosecute when the victim don't press forward?
No, they don't. They don't.
So I guess they let him go. That's how I got home. I walked from Bulangililo police station all the way to Chimwemwe. Weeping on my way forward. On my way home.
Thanks. You want some ice?
JW.
Want some ice?
Hit us with some ice.
My hands are clean.
We're getting like really hot. That's how I went home. When I got home, it was my fault.
When you got home to your uncle's place?
When I got home to my uncle's place, it was my fault. I was abducted. It was my fault. Maybe I had just run away because now I had grown. I wanted to get married. I wanted to see what it was like out there to get with men now. So
to fuck
in the night, pack your things and get out of my house.
Really?
Pack your things and get out of my house. In the night. That's how my aunt told me, your uncle had said this and this and this. I was like, oh, okay. No transport money, no nothing, just out in the night, thrown out.
After all that shit?
After all that shit I went through. I walked in the night. Do you know like where you walk, you don't know where you are going. You're just walking. You're just walking. I was just moving. Until this man stopped. And now I'm even scared of all these strangers that are passing. I don't know what he's going to do. He just says, where are you going this time? And I had to explain that maybe you can drop me off. I have a relative in Nkana West. My cousin used to live there. That's how he said, I'll give you a lift, but I'm a cab driver. Do you have money? He said, I have no money on me, but I can give you a jacket that I had. You can hold on to this until I find money to pay you when I get where I'm going. That's how he took me where I was going. When I got there as well, it was just eyes rolling, like where did she come from? What did she do? She even gave away my jacket that she had, and I really liked that jacket. I just felt
small,
worthless.
Yeah.
Or people have like all these prejudices. They have all this judgment. They don't care about your person, whether you get hurt, they just don't care. It does something to you as a person. It does something to the relationships that you're going to have forward. Where I just blew mistrust. I just figured like whatever happens from now on, I just need to figure it out myself because I have nobody in my corner. I have nobody rooting for me. I have nobody caring whether I live or die. So I just need to work it out by myself. We should take a break.
I think we should.
We should take a break for sure.
It's a dirty couch. Let's take a break. Okay. Welcome back to... Are you good?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Dirty Couch, and Misty was just telling us about some traumatic things that happened in her past. Abduction, denial, inadequacies, all these things, and they happened at a fairly young age, yeah? Yeah. Alright, so continue. I guess we ended up where you were now. I mean, what happened after that? I mean, like as a person, what happened with your life?
From then I moved from that place as well. My cousin's place, lived with another cousin for a bit. I just figured like, I was independent very, very early. I just figured like I needed to leave. Like leave and just and when I left, like even up until now, because you go through all these issues and you never talk to these people and they're unresolved. You figure out a way to protect yourself and to survive.
There'll always be just motherfuckers to you then.
That's it.
You never sorted it out.
And then they don't understand like why you don't talk to them, why you don't call them, why you don't want to show up to family gatherings.
Yeah.
Or she's just stuck up, she's just all these things because she's like this and that. But you figured out a way to build walls.
Yeah,
and
like,
shelter yourself.
Like I've really, really tried in my hearts of hearts to sort out how I feel about my father and things like that. And I mean, I know my siblings try, we try, but every time that we talk, like we would get to a good place, then you would just say something that would just make me like you know what?
No.
Fuck you.
No.
Like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
And you know, it keeps me to it's getting me to a place where I just have my little circle. All I care about is my children and the people I'm with then.
That's it.
And every time I try to like reach out and deal with other people and be good with other people, I always end up in that same little circle.
Bubble, yeah.
Because I take care of me. I take care of what I go through.
And yeah, and that also stems from the fact that like as you going through all these experiences, that you start to look out for you, and you feel like every time you let people in, they disappoint you, they let you down. So it's just you, and for me, like it bred like a very, which I started noticing first, like in my relationship.
Because you're a cold motherfucker sometimes.
Yes. Like
yeah, I mean, most times.
Most
I mean, like, even when we're hanging out.
I'm learning. I'm trying. That's why, like, even opening up to talk about these things, I'm trying to figure out a way to heal from most of the things that I've gone through, to figure out a way, like a new path, a way that works for me to let people in a little. I used to have like a lot of anger issues. Like my first exes would tell you, like I would be triggered by so many things, and they wouldn't even understand it. Like if we fight, like I would walk out of the, it doesn't matter, like it could be 2 a.m. I'll just like walk out and start to walk.
Squally!
Yes. But then he would sit and say like, why would you walk in the middle of the night? Like, you don't understand. I've walked in the middle of the night before. So I can get up from here and just leave. Like in blind rage. Because that's maybe the way to deal with that. But I'm trying to learn to work. I've gotten a little better, especially after having a kid.
With me, when someone starts trying to express their emotions or whatever, I'm listening, and then all I'm hearing is blah 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 blah,
Yeah.
blah 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 blah, blah 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 blah. When the hell is this going to end? Why are we constantly talking about this? So I always divert to something else. Either I'll tell a joke, I'll say something crude, and I'll just move on. And that's how it's always been. And I feel like the time has come now, as individuals, as myself, as Stephen Movit, and I think it should come for you as well, as Misty, where we actually fight our demons, because we haven't gone for therapy.
No, and we've gone through so much, like just you close it and then you throw it away and you never deal with it. But if you don't deal, I've learned now as I get older that if you don't deal with your demons, they start to deal with you. They control how you react. They control how you interact with people, and you just. It is hard to work on these things, but you need to figure out a way. Because for me, I felt like I've lacked a male figure growing up, especially after my dad died, and I feel like girls that have grown up with their dads have like a bit of an advantage.
Which is true,
in terms of how they love, how their relationships
and how they deal with men.
Yes, and how they deal with men, depending on how their fathers loved them, how much they loved them, how they treated them, because they set a bar. But then when you haven't had a dad, and he's absent, and all the male figures that came through to substitute, they were terrible at being like proper male figures in my life. So even moving forward, like when I start to date,
you're an asshole.
I was thinking, yes.
You're an asshole.
I can be quite an ass. So, fucking disrespectful. I always, like, the one ex that I stayed with for a long time, that I cohabited with, was my learning point for these others are lucky, because I had dealt with he had made me deal with some things, even though it was constantly anger. But he would tell me that you don't respect authority, like even in a relationship. Yes, like I fight
authority.
I fight authority,
especially male authority.
Especially male authority. With women, I just don't know how to relate with them because I always felt like they made little camps to attack me, to talk about me, to talk shit about me. So with females, and why I don't have female friends is I just keep them at bay because I've been through all of that with my cousins, with my aunts, I've been through all of that where they talk shit about you. If they see you with like a male friend, like so from an early age, I started just chilling with boys. But then even that was also like a talking point because she's probably fucking them. She's fucking her friend. Yes. So with females, I don't know how to relate. Forgive me, it's not you, it's me.
You know, when my father actually did leave, he left at a place where I was becoming a man. Mm-hmm. So I felt I never had a male role model.
To transition.
I mean, I was but my mom, she said, wash the plates, wash this, wash this. Or even when like we talked about virginity earlier, I didn't even know what the fuck was going on. Yeah. And then now we have kids, right?
Yes, now we have kids.
You have a daughter. I have a daughter.
You have daughters.
I've got daughters. I've got a son. And I don't know how this is going to work out for anybody, but I try so hard, but I always go back to the fact that maybe I'm not doing the best, and maybe I'm going to fuck up my kids as well, and maybe I'm going to be the enemy, and that's my biggest fear.
I mean, there's constantly that as well. You want to raise good kids, but I'm also scared because even with my mom, I had left her early. And for a long time while all these things were going on, I started to resent her because I felt like she had neglected me and she wasn't taking my side, whether her relatives are telling her these stories, like she would believe them and not take my side. So I just kept everyone at bay, which is hard now as a parent to a girl because I have to learn to relate with
it's really hard.
The females that I don't know how to relate with.
All right, we're about to wrap it up.
And raise a right.
We want to take a break, and thank you very much for tuning into the Dirty Couch. Hope we haven't offended anyone, but then we hope we did. Who the hell cares?
Welcome to the conclusion of the Dirty Couch. So many things have been revealed today.
On this couch?
Yeah.
Poor couch. It must feel heavy right now.
Poor couch.
Sorry. I'm so sorry.
Make sure that you like our YouTube channel. It's the Dirty Couch, and just click on the subscribe button, like we said, and you'll be able to watch these and get notifications as well by clicking on the little dingy bell that's on top of that.
Yeah, and you'll be good. Plus, like us on Facebook as well, and like everything that we post.
Amen. And share. Yeah.
Oh, and don't forget to share. Yeah, subscribe, share, like in that order.
Do you think my socks are terrible?
No, I like these socks.
Really?
Yeah, they're quirky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like my socks?
Yeah, they're okay.
Okay.
Okay is not like a good term. So when you walk out now, popok, and then you ask your man like, babe, how do I look?
It's not like they have a pocket.
Even gani bambe, but gani soko shiso. Imagine. Mom, you have he wouldn't get laid. Butter. No! He wouldn't get laid. Como al toilet to los bambe. What have you? Anyway, let's wrap this up. And wrapping up is us basically admitting our flaws and some of the flaws that we've had over the years, especially with all the information that we've gotten as individuals, is the fact that we have never gotten proper therapy, and how we're going to affect the next generation, which is our kids, our family. That's and true. How when we get buried one day, which we will, I mean, will we leave a legacy for people to actually look at and say, oh my goodness, these people brought so much warmth to the world, or we're just going to do the same thing, get destroyed, and you're going to destroy the world as well.
Is that? Yeah. And I'm scared of the trauma that you pass down to your kids as well. I learned about that recently. I'm like, what? Apparently trauma can be passed from. And that's why it's very important that you deal with your demons. You wrestle them to the ground, put them down. If you need to take them for a walk so you can have a heart-to-heart, and then tell them to take a fucking hike. you need to do it for your sake, for
your family's sake.
yes, and for just having like
Your
better
well-being.
relations, with people that you're going to meet. Because sometimes I haven't known how to love. Like I can admit that.
You're a motherfucker.
I am learning. I keep saying I'm learning. I need you to understand. I am learning. But for the most part, I haven't learned how to love. And you don't know how to love people better if you're not loved properly as well. Because if you can't give what you don't have. Like if I had something in this cup, I would share it with you and give it to you. But if I had nothing, where do I get it from? And if what I have is bullshit, then all I'm bringing to the table is bullshit.
You know, I've learned how to love. I know how to love. I just don't want to love because I'm scared of the rejection. I'm actually really scared of that. And I never open up to anything. I mean, So Sick is a goofball. He's an asshole.
Yeah.
He's everything. But deep down inside, I am a person. And the things I've done wrong that I feel guilty for, and the things that people have done wrong to me and that I haven't dealt with. So, I mean, demons are real.
That's true.
They change your life. But please, don't let them affect your future life. Don't let them affect your kids. So we're going to try and go for therapy. If we can find someone.
If we can find somebody. I would actually like to sit in front of a person and just talk to them and start to figure out my life for how to move forward too. Because you talked about like you know how to love, but then you're constantly scared of rejection. When you're going through so much rejection, that's also like my constant fear as well. You know, like if I get into this, it won't end right. They might get up and leave. They might not want you. So you just build walls. And that's it. And when people decide they want to walk out, I don't stand and whip for you and fight for you.
I'm just scared when people walk out.
I say okay.
I don't. I cry, and then I say, okay, you guys can go there. Yeah. But I don't mean it.
Yeah?
I don't mean it at all.
I'm like at level 100 when it comes to closing and just close and be done and not fight even for something when it's...
Speaking about closing.
So yeah, speaking of closing.
We're out of here.
Your mental health is important. If you need to talk to somebody, please do talk to somebody. It's also just very important that you figure out where you're coming from and how it affects where you're going to be a better person and for your well-being.
Thanks for sharing.
Bruh.
Thanks for sharing. We're supposed to talk shit on this couch,
but what did you?
Oh man, we're out of here.
Okay.
Thank you very much for being on the Dirty Couch today.
It's not my fault that I'm awesome.
My name is So Sick.
My name is Misty. Till next time.